Om Nithyanandeshwara Paramashiva.
The nature of consciousness, the source of awareness, the relationship between our ego and the world. This has plagued us for generations. We strive to understand why we are the way we are, why our reality is the way it is, why our life is the way it is. But what if the way we see the world as separate from us is just an illusion? What if our consciousness exists before all experience and is not limited to the confines of our body and mind?
Today, what I revealed is practically the whole Hinduism in a nutshell. If you make the column, you will see clearly most of your problems are internal non-understanding. When these internal non-understandings are cleared, life becomes Leela. You just manifest what you want. I'll make this as a realization in you all now through this initiation and darshan of Sadashiva.
Nithyanandam Paramasukhadam Kevalam Jnanamurtim Dvandvatitam Gagana Sadrisham Tattvamasyaadhilaksham Ekam Nityam Vimalamachalam Sarvadhi Sakshibhutam Bhavatitam Trigunarahitam Sadgurum Tam Namami.
Nithyanandam, we have all observed individuals defaulting on their debts. We've also seen companies and corporations not being able to pay their debts and going into default. But have you observed entire country, entire nation going into default? Unimaginable, is it? 2012, Greece. 2015, Ukraine. 2017, Venezuela. 2018, Turkey. 2022, Sri Lanka. Almost each and every other year, we are being faced by this continuous economic crisis, and country after country is going into default, or at least at the verge of a complete economic collapse. What is really happening? We bring to you today this topic of discussion on Nithyananda TV, and we welcome all of you. I'm Sri Nitya Brahma Sukhananda Maharaj, and we have with us our co-host, Sri Rajananda Maharaj,
Nithyanandam.
in this engaging discussion on the current geopolitical and economic situation that we are facing in the entire world today. When all the countries, all the economies, even in our neighborhood, are going through an extreme crisis, an extreme situation of sovereign default. So, what seems to be the reason? In many situations, because of the wrong economic policies, be it mismanagement of the economy, or be it any other reason or political reasons, we have seen economies going again and again into a complete disaster kind of a situation, and not even being able to pay their debts, they pay their bills in the international market for not more than a week, because all of this is governed by the foreign exchange reserves that a country has. But when this kind of a situation arises, which in the technical terms is known as the balance of payment crisis, when they don't even have enough forex reserves to pay for the imports for not more than a week, not more than a fortnight. We have seen all these countries going into the similar situations. What happens then? First step for them is to ask for help from their friends, from all those countries who they have diplomatic relations with. But what happens when even they are not being able to help them? Then the global institutions such as the IMF, the International Monetary Fund, which is called the lender of the last resort, when they step in and they provide a bailout to these countries. The worst scenario is when even the IMF and all these global institutions also, in a way, deny bailing out these countries. That is the kind of situation we are facing, country after country. The credibility of the economy has gone down to such a low level that none of these measures are being able to help bring an economy out of this crisis. Counterintuitive it sounds, right? Because investing in a government is considered to be the least riskiest, right? The best among your investment portfolio. But here we are seeing a complete collapse of confidence, investor confidence, the complete collapse of credibility, and very humiliation of the leadership of that country. So how have we come to this situation on a global level as a civilization itself? How have we created such an economic model where we are seeing the nation after nation collapsing, not being able to handle these situations, right? And worst part is it may start with a benign mismanagement of the economy, but it turns very immediately into political crisis and even humanitarian crisis. The hyperinflation that we saw in Venezuela in 2017, 2,800% was the inflation. And we saw the kind of food crisis, what happened on the street. It was a civil war kind of a situation. Complete humanitarian crisis as well, resulting out of this core mismanagement of the economy. So the whole fundamental crux of the discussion today is going to be, what is it about the whole economy, the economic model we are facing today and we are living in? What is the core fault line? Because of this, we are again and again failing as a civilization, as humanity, right? So in this discussion, I would invite you, Maharaj, to let us know, to inform the viewers, what are the possible reasons, right? Yes. What are the possible reasons and what is the possible solution?
Yes. So the answer to this is twofold. There is the economic model and there is the leadership. Yes. The economic model that we are following has wrong fundamentals itself. And it is based off delusion. And it is based off fear and greed and vengeance also. The core cognition about money, about wealth and currency, about the economy, about the purpose of the economy, everything is based on delusion. It is discussed in the past episodes, the core values and cognitions that are related to your civilizational understanding reflect on the economics of a civilization. So there is a conversation we're going to have about the economy model itself.
So what is the fault in the economic side of the thing, right?
Yes. And then we are going to look at also the fault that happens in the leadership itself. And bad leadership is all about not taking up the responsibility. And good leadership is taking responsibility for the whole nation, first for themselves. And when we look at the case studies of nations falling into such dire circumstances, we are falling into these sovereign default that you're mentioning. There is a clear trend of irresponsible leadership. carrying deluded notions and about economics, about wealth, about what works, about what policy is bad, what policy is good. And in many of these situations, leaders are just leader by status. They're not by state. The Supreme Pontiff puts it, it is leadership by state that should be manifested. The state of a leader is the leadership consciousness itself. It is born out of responsibilism. Moreover, how they personally relate with money on a day-to-day basis, how they handle their money, how they handle their assets, how they handle everyday things, and how they are holding even the wealth that surrounds them, holding everyone else about their wealth. Now, all of these factors are considered when understanding how a leader holds money.
Yes.
And the policy decisions are affected by just these small decisions in someone's life about how they hold money. So the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism reveals that Hindu economics and Hindu principles of leadership consciousness is twofold to the answer, and twofold to the answer of the problems of the modern global economy is facing. To save the modern day humanity from all this possible catastrophe that we are seeing, you just gave a list of countries that are all failing as far as their economy is concerned. So to stop the world from going through these kind of crises, the Supreme Pontiff is reviving the Hindu economy and the leadership in Kailas, the right Hindu leadership by the state, the state at which person holds themselves. And the revival really starts at the individual level, the individual consciousness, which is stooped deep in delusionary concepts about money, currency, wealth, and power. Reviving and going down to the fundamental cognitions that you have about these things will help you become a leader. And when in our inner space we are cleansed with these faulty ideas and incompletions, we manifest authentic wealth consciousness. And I have seen the Supreme Pontiff do this in the Paramashivoham program.
Exactly.
In the Paramashivoham program, we have the opportunity to have leaders. It is a summit for global Hindu leaders. And as we've been discussing, Hindus are already leading the world in many fields. And in this case, in the field of economy and in the fields of governance itself.
Yes.
And we have seen that we present to you inside the Paramashivoham program an opportunity to look into the core cognitions you carry. You may have difficulties in being able to hold a family together, hold a friendship together, hold a group of friends together, or hold a community together. You are a leader by Hindu, or by nature, you have this tendency to want to lead people, but you're finding that you're recreating mistakes that have happened in the past when you deal with a particular type of person.
Yes.
Or when these kind of people come, I am not able to handle. Or when these kind of people are stubbornly or arrogant in my perception, I'm not able to handle. Why is it that you experience this? What is it that they are triggering inside you that is making you perceive them as stubborn or perceive them as arrogant? These are all the core understandings and the core questions that you are asked inside the Paramashivam program that really make you understand the core value that Kailasa lives by. That is responsibilism. The truth that you are the source. It is from you that everything around you is attracted and manifested. Cognizing this fundamental truth about yourself and the cosmos around you is from the very Shastras itself that the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism is reviving. And that is that you are the source of everything around you. And he reveals that when a mass starts getting frustrated about currency, the collective global economical meltdown starts happening. Understand, economic meltdown is nothing but mass getting to the understanding, trying to come out of the delusion called currency. We will explain this, Maharaj.
This is so deep. Actually, see, we don't really understand that Paramashiva himself as in the dimension of the economist, right?
Yes.
Even the most of the Hindus would not really imagine him in that form, in that dimension.
Yes.
But he is the one who has revealed all the secrets of how to manage a perfectly dharmic economy, right? From the grassroots level, how from each and every individual, how they are supposed to be nourished and nurtured and made a part of the whole civilization, whole society, and a contributing part in a responsible way, all the way up to the top leadership, how they are supposed to govern. Each and every aspect is a part of the Hindu economy and the Hindu civilization itself. And it's see, when we talk about these problems today, right, we are not just talking about these problems just because, it's some statistic we are mentioning, some hype, and this country is failing and that country is failing. The values, the principles from which these results emerge, they are civilizational in nature.
Yes.
It's not a small thing, whole country coming down. And again, it's not like mistake happened once or twice, right? But again and again and again and again, same model being followed. So we have to question the model itself. We have to question the basic beliefs. We have to question the basic principles by which we are living. What are those principles? And place them in contrast with an other alternative, if it is there, right? We have an alternative. The Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism is providing that alternative and seeing the statistics, right? If you talk about statistics, let's say one of the values, as we have been discussing about is the stable Hindu family,
Yes.
right? And we mentioned that it is this core value of maintaining a stable family across generations. It is not just a customary thing which we have to follow as Hindus. No, it has a direct repercussion on the economy, right? We mentioned how because of the stable family, so the entire, see, in the West, the collapse of the family has placed all the burden of the social security onto the government, billions and billions of dollars, right? And when the entire family breaks, the necessity, the requirement to create more housing, public housing increases. And even we provided that estimate that again goes to billions and billions of dollars. Who will pay for this money? The whole thing falls on the government, right? But just by this virtue of having a stable family across generations, what it does is that the family starts acting as a responsible unit in the society, which takes a lot of burden off the government,
Yes.
which is otherwise being passed on to the government. So the entire social security in the Hindu civilization is taken care of by the family.
Yes.
There is no burden of social security on the government in
Yes.
the Hindu society.
Yes.
You see, anywhere Hindus are living as a community, the central leadership of that community will not have this burden of taking care of elderly, taking care of kids being born out of single parents, and all these things will not be there. It is an actual economic burden, right, which has to be taken care of. This whole thing just vanishes in Hindu civilization.
Yes.
Another fact, the savings that we talked about, right?
Yes.
Individual versus dynastic savings. What is the core concept here? The contrast is the West passes its liabilities, its insecurities, its debts to its generation, to their children, to their grandchildren. But on the contrast, the Hindu civilization passes on their assets, their gold, their security, their well-being to their children, to their grandchildren, and their great-grandchildren. This is the civilizational contrast. What happens because of this thing? When the West, in that the core concept of extremely individual-centric, savings only for me, forget about thinking about children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, only me and my life, not even my partner.
Yeah.
What that does, ultimately, you see the level of the national debt those governments are having. They're sitting on a stockpile of debt, sovereign debt. Who will pay?
Yeah.
Ultimately, it all passes on to the future generations, right? It is playing with their future.
Yes.
So we are living in a very, very serious situation where the economy itself is so fragile and can collapse anytime. And even the solutions are so short-term that they are bound to fail. We have to question these basic values, and when we place them in the contrast of the Hindu civilization, it questions and heals the basic cognitive tendencies which humans have, which are creating this wrong economic model, fear and greed based society. That's what we are living in, right? Born out of incompletions and a vengeance driven society. Everyone is trying to take vengeance on the other. The subordinate is taking vengeance on the boss is taking vengeance on the subordinate. This whole running around a rat race for money which nobody knows where it is. It's just a piece of paper. It's just a piece of paper. The whole delusion of money.
Correct.
All these questions we have to answer. We get the answers of in the Hindu economic principles. When the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism talks about the revival of the Hindu economy, he talks about each and every of these fundamental principles.
Correct.
Right? Fear and greed, how to heal and
Yes.
act out of completion.
Yes.
Right? How to act out of powerfulness when it relates to your relationship with money,
Yes.
your relationship with wealth. And when at the individual level, all these things are healed, naturally you will manifest a better economy, prosperous society, stable society. All these things will be healed at a core level.
Yes.
Right? So these are some of the fundamental things which we are talking about at the civilizational level, where the Hindu civilization has proven again and again that it has utility value. You don't see these collapses happening. When you see the whole Hindu economy, the history of the Hindu society, Hindu civilization, you see it only with prosperity and equitable distribution. You don't see that extreme divide between rich and poor.
Yes, yes.
You don't see the violence happening because of this divide.
And the
right?
word charity is used, Maharaj. The word charity is used. Actually the way that the Supreme Pontiff has beautifully given in one of the satsangs that he's talking, specifically giving breakthroughs on economy when he released the Dhanakarshana Bhairava Aushadha. In that particular satsang, he gave so many pointers and saying, she's literally saying charity is most cunning and trickiest way of keeping the value of currency up. Because it's a way of saying that, yeah, there is money going around.
Yes.
It's a way of showing the world, hey, the rich is giving, they are continuously giving wealth, they are continuously giving back to the system, money is moving around, as you said, Maharaj. And that promise is given, but the Supreme Pontiff says that this is giving the delusion that currency exists. It is not real currency.
So it's like philanthropy, right? It's a big term, right? Philanthropy and philanthropists. But ultimately, are they solving the problem?
Yes,
They're keeping this delusion alive. That's what he was telling, right?
Yes,
The whole concept is flawed at the core. Philanthropy, what? Giving out money. Money itself, is it real? Have you questioned it?
Correct.
That is not going away. That delusion is not going away.
Yes.
Then the problem, how will it go away?
And then he finally gives a clarity that if the transactional mechanism called currency is unreachable to you, then you are just going to get frustrated, as everyone is. And that frustration results in the whole economic meltdown. And he says people will just shut down and say, I will shut down. And there's no use of this currency for me. And then it'll become irrelevant for them. But the Supreme Pontiff gives the important revelation that it is the duty of the leaders to keep the currency current. Do more and more things that is keeping it current. And Hinduism has a solution to this. What are we doing? We are doing so much to keep it current. It is, of course, the Hindu, we always want to tell about it. The Hindu stable family, of course, yes, is the unit. But what are they doing, Maharaj? They are celebrating Hinduism. In Hinduism, the family, every stable family has a temple. They have a temple that they take care of, they put their money into, they bring the whole community to, and they have so many other families that they're connected with. One family takes care of this part of the temple, one family takes care of this part of the temple. And the temple itself is at the center of the economy. And it literally, whenever festival happens, every month, money is moved around continuously. People are literally moved around continuously. Such a mixing of population, mixing of wealth, mixing of money happens only in Hinduism. Every month, every day, there is some festival or the other going around. And you shared with me one important fact about exactly how the Hindu civilization has a balance between the personal savings that we have in the West and just pure savings model. What is that an example you can
I'll tell you. See, the thing is that the Western model is excessively consumption based, right? You consume much more than you even earn. So, and at the contrast, there are some economies which are excessively savings driven. They just save. They don't really consume much. What happens in the global economic situation, the globalization era, is the savings-led economy naturally tend to invest in this consumption-led economy because someone has to pay for them, and for them it becomes an investment, right? So it's a partnership kind of situation. The wrong thing about this, or not really wrong, but the risky thing in this is when that country fails, this country will also collapse because this whole thing is invested in that country, right? And the West, which is excessively consumption driven, we have seen so many collapses happening because of this faulty model, right? So basically, both these models of economics is not really helping. How the Hindu economy really comes out in this is it maintains a perfect balance between consumption and savings. Hindu economy is both savings driven and consumption driven. We have seen the dynasty savings and all, how we save, not just for ourselves, for our partners, for our children, for our future generations also. That is the level of the insight we have when we talk about savings, security, well-being. All my future generations should also thrive and prosper and feel secured. All these things are there. At the same time, as you mentioned, festivals constantly triggering every week, every single week of the year, something or the other celebration is there, right? These celebrations, if I talk just about the pure economic sense, these are the best triggers of consumption in the society, in the economy. So much of consumption is triggered. Anything, it can be flower garlands, dresses, ritual items, anything, renovation of houses,
jewelry, gold, silver.
Exactly. Every aspect, each and every aspect, so much of consumption is driven by these festivals, by the Hindu economy. So naturally, more consumption, at the same time, more savings, reinvesting them in the more consumption, contribution, 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 contribution. That is what we have seen the entire history of Hindu civilization, peak of
And
prosperity.
it is even called in the Agama. Paramashiva calls it in the Agama as Nithyotsava.
Exactly.
Nithyotsava Vidhi. He calls it, the whole chapter is just talking about continuous festival and how to maintain this festival. Literally every day a festival happens, as the Kamikagama tells. Paramashiva gives, as you were telling about how Paramashiva has laid it out in the scriptures. If you just see the Kamikagama, if you just see how every detail he's involved, how the person should wear the dress, how this person should represent his family, how this person should represent his family, how this person should appear in front, what kind of gifts you should give each other. So much of detail Paramashiva has given and planned out the whole way the Hindu civilization should be. And it is the same thing the Supreme Pontiff is reviving in Kailasa. And it is here an opportunity to be a part of this great revival in the Paramashivoham program. Whatever we have been discussing so far, we encourage everyone watching us to give your comments, share your ideas, share your questions if you have any, share how you've learned maybe from the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism about particular policies on your finances that you implemented and found any result in your life. Go ahead and share. And if you are a new person, you can go ahead and right away sign up your intention to be a part of the Paramashivoham program. Just scan the QR code below and register your intention for Paramashivam program. It is in this program where we cultivate true leaders, and we wanted to get a little bit on where is it that a leader faults and where he messes up actually. And the qualities of a failing leader, we can just say that they are someone else on the outside, and inside they cherish so much of fear and insecurity. That is a way you can understand a problem in a leader. And if you have these kind of qualities, nobody will tell this outside, of course, but you should be able to understand that showing outside excessive self-assurance and showing everybody that, hey, I'm ready to lead all of you, but that leads to certain stubbornness, not able to listen to others and tell other people's. And then because they won't be able to be listening, they're stubborn. They have a lack of accountability, and you will not be able to trust them. Many people don't even trust them, and they won't be flexible. They just want to stick to their own thing because that is only what's going to keep them from having to deal with their fears. So to prevent someone from handling their own fears, they will do so much so their outer image is maintained. And that is the same things that we handle inside the program. Inside the Paramashivam program, we cognize the four images that we carry. We have the inner image, the outer image, the world image, and what others tell about you, the anyakara, what others believe about you. These four images are what we even cognize inside the program and really look into and dive into what these are for us. And we will always see, for a person who has seen a lot of not so much success in their life, that there's a big gap between their inner image and their outer image. And that's what we see in a person who is a leader, who's failing.
Ultimately, because everything boils down to what kind of inner space you're carrying, right? Because even the whole collapse that we are talking about, ultimately it all boils down to the inner space that we all are carrying, right? If we want to create prosperity outside, if we want to create a perfect flourishing economy outside, we have to question our inner space. Where are we going wrong inside, right? From where we are cognizing everything, blaming on the leaders, how will that help? Even the leaders are coming from the same society, carrying the same cognition. They might just be on the winner side of the rat race. Doesn't mean that they're really out of this whole core cognition that you're discussing about, right? The kind of leadership consciousness that should be there. What is really the leadership consciousness coming out of responsibility? Because ultimately, all these faulty policy decisions, mismanagement that is happening, it is happening. We all are seeing again and again in all these cases that we mentioned. It is ultimately everywhere you see some kind of failed leadership because of that mismanagement happening. Even when the things are collapsing, not listening, not correcting, right? As you said. So all these things are there, qualities are there. So what kind of leadership is required to deal with such situations and fundamentally to create a completely different kind of economy, which is first of all sustainable and which is prosperous and which is dharmic.
Yes.
You know, to put it simply, which is dharmic, whose main purpose is to give a breakthrough to the entire civilization, to nourish all the people, entire humanity, to take them to the next level of their evolution, to give them the ultimate experience of Paramashivoham, right?
Yes. And the Supreme Pontiff actually tells us how to be having this leadership consciousness through wealth. He says the threefold triangle of wealth, he solves it. He says, first is your decision to contribute to the world. Second is your decision to be intelligent through your contributions, and your decision to inspire.
Yes.
These are the three triangle of wealth. Your decision to contribute, the decision to be intelligent through your contribution, and because your contribution has to affect multiple people, it has to affect the whole community. It is not just an individual's greed to make that individual's personal favor. You have to come out of all of these kind of cunning methods of personal giving favors. Nothing is personal. Everything is what you do to this person, how he will become a leader. It is to that level of intelligence that you need to operate to make sure that your contribution to that person is an intelligent one. So the second is contribution and keeping the inspiration going, ability to inspire people to support you back. You give you back, see, and then that's all. That is the whole triangle of wealth. See, you have given them intelligence to make more money. Hey, you've made some, let's do more. And that's all, because they're sold that you are there only to contribute to their lives. And you have proved it to them. They will contribute back. That is the triangle of wealth. That is how it will all come back.
I think this is a perfect 3-pointer for all those who want to manifest wealth as quickly as possible. Simple 3-point solution from Paramashiva himself in the form of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism. Can you repeat? First is
your decision to contribute.
Okay.
Second, your decision to be intelligent through your contribution.
Decision to be intelligent through your contribution, right? Okay.
You're not just giving wealth, you're giving intelligence to the person to make wealth themselves.
And even innovating, providing better and better solutions, right?
Yes. Okay. Giving them the vatavarana, giving them, literally, you are enlightened. You're creating another enlightened ecosystem for another person to be able to enlighten themselves. Exactly. And then they contribute more. And then you inspire them to support you back. Confidence being asked of them to support you back, so that you will continue to find more and more. And so that this whole cycle is kept alive. Because ultimately, wealth is just resources for you, which help you to do what you want to do, how you want to start, make the sankalpa, and get the resources. That's all it is, right? And we want to go further and tell us that your inner space, the same way of intelligently handling people as leaders. You're getting to hold 5 people in your inner space to continuously contribute to your life, because you're using your mind and intelligence to contribute to their life. When you do this, you get the 5 people, you build a good family. If your inner space is capable of including 50 people in your life, you create a good team. You're capable of building a few hundred people to become a social leader. And if you are able to hold a few thousands of people, then you are a leader of the region. And if you're able to include members of the whole state inside, you become leader of the state, country, you become the leader of the country. And understand, if your inner space is awakened to understand and include the concept of wealth, you will see wealth becomes just a part of your life. It becomes such a byproduct of so much of peace and enlightenment and so much of things manifesting. That's what you focus on people, you focus on enriching them. You see wealth fluctuating, all of it just comes. That's a huge difference from the things that we have seen, right? The current economic system has become a nightmare. You have responsibility.
People, that there is an alternative. You can come out of the nightmare and enter into the celebration, which Hindu economics is, Hindu economy is, right?
Exactly.
Whole leadership consciousness, all the economic principles, all these things are tied together. Basically, the core fundamental values, the cognitions which are given by Paramashiva himself in Vedas and Agamas, just aligning to them, aligning the whole society, starting from the individual level, and then getting more and more people involved, enriching them more. As you mentioned, Maharaj, from 1% to 5%, then 5 to 10 to 15, team to community to nation itself, right? Then even going global, and ultimately when you become an incarnation whole, you're responsible, you're the leader of the whole cosmos itself, and you're literally holding the entire universe in your inner space when you are an incarnation. Because ultimate difference is only the scale, right? Fundamentally, we all are Paramashiva. Only the scale, how much you have realized it, that is the only difference. So these are the core cognitions which the Hindu civilization manifests. And with that, when people are aligned to that, best things are manifesting. Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha, all these 4 goals of human life, human existence, which are given in the Vedas and Agamas. All of these we are able to fulfill. And we can come out of this whole mess that we have made. So much of violence, so much of aggression, so much of depression and poverty and inequality everything, all these things, which and the repercussions of those wars, insurgent movements, even when the countries become so vulnerable economically, they're also vulnerable to external aggression. Then we see more and more violence happening. We can just negate the whole thing with simply aligning and reviving the Hindu economy and the Hindu leadership consciousness. And that is exactly what the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Bhagavan Nithyananda Paramashivam, is doing. He's awakening those in the Paramashivoham program. And if you want to enter into this celebration and get out of this whole rut which we have entered into individually as well as collectively, please sign up for the Paramashivam program. The QR code is being projected at the bottom of your screen. So scan it as quickly as possible, fill the intention forms. Our team will reach out to you as soon as possible. And you can start a whole celebration of the incarnation of Paramashiva himself, who is literally here for you to initiate you in the best things of your life, the best gifts from Sanatana Hindu Dharma that he has to offer, the best being himself. He is offering himself to you. Paramashiva is here to give himself to you, and all the other gifts and all the best things which you have a fundamental right to. That is the best thing. So we just have to say one yes and claim your right, literally.
Yes.
Yes.
So because the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism tells us that because you are conscious, wealth should be following you. That is what is wealth consciousness. Understand, hitching towards wealth, any hitching towards wealth is not earning wealth. It is getting tortured towards currency. He says that you should become conscious onto yourself. When you wake up in the morning, you should be radiating joy, life, bliss. And in that way, just your breathing will make currency, wealth just follow you.
Yeah, you even mentioned once that what is money? Ultimately, it's my feet dust. Wherever I walk, it will just happen.
Yes.
That is the level of confidence we want to see. And when we manifest this kind of confidence with respect to wealth, this kind of powerfulness, and ultimately he doesn't need anything.
Yes.
A sannyasi, right? But see, only a sannyasi has gone really beyond the whole wealth and whole cognition about wealth.
Absolutely. Actually, if you see any of the Hindu narratives, the greatest Hindu narratives is when everything is taken away from the hero. And then finally, he builds everything back just because of his quality of leadership.
Exactly. So
this is the story of Rama, story of Krishna, story of anybody you see out there. They are telling, and the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, and not when everything is taken away, again he'll come back with Kailasa. He'll come so many solutions. He will be there doing his work of reviving. That is what a leader is. When you take away the kingdom, you cannot take away the king. The king remains. And he is still a king no matter where he is. That is the quality of a leader that we should all invoke in ourselves and have the opportunity and possibility to invoke in ourselves by living with the example of it, the best example of it in the modern day, which we all can celebrate as the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism in our lives. And we wanted to share a little bit also today, maybe about some of the things that actually happen inside the program, how you handle your wealth. Actually, it's very important because as soon as I think of money, you think of the pain associated with it, incompletions associated with it, fears that are there, and even some mistrusts that we have with wealth that we experience in our lives. Just the Supreme Pontiff even shares that people have a fear of balance sheets. Just to look, oh God, I got to think about my money on, and then I have to realize it's not even there for me the way I wanted it. And then I have to think, I have to plan for moving it around in a way such that ultimately I don't get fulfilled, but I still have to move it around and do this. It becomes mundane. It doesn't become a joyful process. And this process itself, people have so much of fear about. And this is the way you handle it. And Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism teaches us in our program. This is not the way to handle it. Don't handle it with fear. Handle it with a little bit of respect as a deity. He literally says, invoke Lakshmi at the moment, right before you go close for the day. You look at your balance sheet and attend to it as the Devi herself. Reveal to me how you're going to help me to do. This is just one of the techniques that the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism tells and he says that, see, there are multiple incompletions people carry about the wealth. They say, everyone has it, I don't have it. What am I contributing? Where is my share of wealth? And various thought currents like, oh, I am loaded with it. I don't know how to save, how to protect it. And various resources you may have, various people you need to, you don't have to protect your wealth. sometimes illegal sources which are trying to snatch away your wealth, sometimes legal sources, so-called legal sources which are trying
Legally
to snatch.
illegal and illegally illegal.
Yes, all these ways you are
Yes.
having your wealth or not having your wealth, and you're just worried about protecting it. So, and also trust. One of the ways that people experience about wealth when they are as a child, if they see mistrust around wealth, that is even when we're discussing about the divorce rate, that is not even there as a concept among Hindus stable families, but unfortunately the divorce rate is there, damaging many countries, and it is actually one of the core problems that many countries have to see when they're looking back in their civilization. What is the growth of their divorce concept? Where did it started? How come it moved on? And it is part of themselves building their history. So it's a good idea to see, and it's all rooted at how the parents were able to create the trust in the child that, hey, we'll take care of you. I have the money for you. I have everything for you. Don't worry about it. But once they make any bad financial decisions, or many times putting the family in some kind of a, because of their personal greeds, putting the family in some kind of a crisis financially, people are so traumatized about wealth after that. My father had wealth problems, had money problems. If money comes to me, I've also had problems. This is some kind of a root cognition that many people carry about themselves and about wealth, and that it comes and is just adapted by them, by their family. So then, when they come to the Paramashivoham program, they'll recognize where and what influenced them about wealth, what gave them these ideas, or how they even came up with these ideas. Most of the time, you only come up with these ideas. It is not given to you. You don't have opportunity inside the program to point your finger and blame that the world put me in this situation. No, it is all about responsibilism again. You have the opportunity to take responsibility for your life and make a difference in your life first, and also everyone around you. And that is the core cognitions from where we can promise that leaders are going to be able to come and to the Paramashivam program, put out all of their frustrations, put out all of the ways that they're having to deal with the money they have, the money that they've got, or the people around them, and how the people around them deal with their money. All that is also because many of the times you become a financial advisor for so many people, and you need to help people handle their money properly. So that also responsibility comes to you. So this kind of a conversation, this kind of a look-in happens in the Paramashivam program. And again, please scan the QR code immediately if you are interested in participating in the Paramashivam program, which will be starting on May 15th.
Yes, May 15th, yes.
And we will be happy to guide you and contact you and get to know more about how you can make the Paramashivoham experience happen in your life.
Yes, because even when you were talking, I was just relating the whole thing. Two things. First thing, that the whole concept of leadership and taking the responsibility from your inner space, cognizing where are the fault lines, where are the wrong thought currents from which I am not able to manifest the wealth in my life. Same thing scales up to all at the level of the country, because ultimately, let's say the prime minister or president of a country, the whole country is like his family, right? He has to take care of them. He has to manifest the best life for each and every person. And he has to manage the whole economics of that whole country or of that whole economic unit. It's just a different scale, but the cognitions are the same. So what happens in the Paramashivam program, it translates into, it starts with your own individual breakthrough. Yes. You manifesting the resources that you want individually, then including more and more people with the leadership consciousness. It starts with the whole wealth consciousness, the right cognition about wealth. On top of that, including leadership consciousness and including more and more people as part of your life, as a part of your whole enriching circle. How many people are you taking responsibility for? How many people are you taking responsibility to have an enriched life and contribute to their life? And you just going on and on, expanding authentically and increasing this whole space, increasing the whole scale, and easily manifesting the leadership consciousness at even the level of a country, of even a nation. Paramashivam is a program that manifests presidents and prime ministers, Maharaj.
Yes.
Because that is a perfect way to even happen. Because any leader operating from a wrong cognition, or even an individual operating from a wrong cognition, corruption will naturally happen in that society, right? All this rat race will naturally happen in the society. The vengeance against each other will naturally happen because everyone is operating from these powerless cognitions. When we heal ourselves at the individual level, when we complete with all these root patterns and the wrong cognitions and all this powerlessness related with wealth, related with ourselves, and with related to the other the outside world, each and every aspect, with that completion only can we really manifest the wealth consciousness with what you mentioned, right? Just having the confidence that what I want, money will come. I just have to make one decision what I want to manifest. Let's say I want to manifest a perfect business. I want to manifest a school or a hospital, whatever I want to create. Having that sankalpa and starting to move, I just know wealth will happen. That is the kind of wealth consciousness we are talking about. Same thing when manifested, when scaled up to the level of country. The kind of economy, I'm just visualizing the kind of society that would manifest when these kinds of people are becoming the leaders. And we have seen in our Hindu civilization all the greatest kings, the greatest incarnation, Ramaraja, what it was. Bhagwan Sri Ramachandra Prabhu manifesting this leadership consciousness, the perfect economy.
The Shastras say that, the Ramayana himself says that when Ramarajyam happened, people were living in the Ramarajyam in such a bliss, in such a way that anybody who walked into Ayodhya will simply be able to pick up sapphires, emeralds, and pearls and diamonds on the ground.
Wow.
This is something that in today we find inside the vaults, stepped away from anyone's eyes. But you are saying that in Ramarajyam, you're able to see gold and silver and metal and precious stones, just be able to come pick it up and go. Yeah, go. That is the way that Ramarajyam was created. Such bliss and harmony and such enlightened civilization that this wealth wasn't that which would move them.
This wealth was also there, and much more, 1,000 times more. The real wealth, the cognition, the enlightenment experience, all these people were thriving with that, bubbling with that. Joy and
they had that much wealth and it just overflowed onto the world around them. And that is what it means to be able to just pick up wealth and do and go. That is the Ramarajyam.
You're not going to pick up sapphire on the ground. It just says how much you have in your go.
Yeah, that's exactly it. You don't need. Oh, this is I found this in my house. This is something that I just that is just lying on the ground. But it comes from the core cognitions of contribution, Maharaj, and that is where it is all. It is in the fundamental way you have your thoughts. Are you thinking me, or are you thinking you? Are you thinking always for contributing, you giving? That is the cognition. Or are you thinking my wealth, my family, my silver, my gold, my business? Thinking like this, or are you thinking your wealth? You contribute like this. This part, you are part of my family. You do this. You take care of this. You manifest this. You do this, and you're continuously following up. You're continuously doing the work. You're continuously involved and engaging. That is the way. That is the Hindu way, and this is even in Shastra.
I'm sorry, I just want because this is so important. This whole prosperity, the glamour and the grandeur of the Hindu civilization. Not one act of violence.
Yes,
there is no act of violence involved in creation of the wealth. But what we see around us now, any act of creation of wealth comes naturally with some kind of vengeance, all the way up to war. Whatever we have seen in the geopolitical scenario today, the whole tussle and the grabbing of wealth and this and that, grabbing of territories, grabbing of wealth, grabbing of this, grabbing of power. This whole thing is stooped. It's deep. At the core level, it's all violence. That's all it is. Whatever wealth has been even created is out of violence. What all started during colonization? Only violence, grabbing of wealth, right? Whole thing continues even today. That is the model which we are fundamentally living in. Hindu civilization is completely different. It is based on non-violence. That is a core principle. Ahimsa paramo dharma. Non-violence is the ultimate dharma. The first principle of existence for Hindus is non-violence. From that non-violence, being in the space of completion, contributing. There's all these things, that beautiful things that you have shared from Ramaraja. What is Ramaraja? Ultimately, non-violent, contributing, enlightened Hindu civilization is Ramaraja. And that is exactly what the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism is reviving. By the creation of Kailasa, the first Hindu nation on the planet Earth, and for each and every individual, giving them the superconscious breakthrough to manifest these best aspects in their own lives, and even to enrich others to manifest the superconscious breakthrough, completion, all these things, peace, inner peace, joy, prosperity, perfect health, and enlightenment itself, which is the ultimate yearning for each and every soul. All the best things at an individual level, he is giving in the Paramashivoham Global Summit, the Hindu Global Summit that is going to start the next season from the 15th of May. So if you want to be a part of it and enrich yourself and make others also enriched with this greatest gift that the incarnation, the living manifestation of Paramashiva, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Bhagavan Nithyananda Paramashivam, is gifting to the entire world. Please, please, please sign up today for Paramashivoham. The QR code is projected at the bottom of your screen. So don't miss any, not even a single moment, and scan the QR code, fill the intention form, and be a part of this great happening, great experience of Paramashivoham, inviting incarnation of Paramashiva himself, because he is knocking at your door. You just have to say one yes to him, that's all. And this scanning of QR code is your yes to him. So please scan the QR code and join Paramashivam program. Yes, Maharaj, you want to add something?
Yeah,
there is so much to
yes,
talk about.
I just wanted to talk about just the whole concept is there in our Shastras. The whole Bhagavad Gita is literally telling, Bhagavan Krishna again and again tells us. And if you read the Bhagavad Gita, decode it, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism has amazingly given the whole, from the state of Bhagavan Sri Krishna, he has given the solutions to the world and told, and that scripture itself holds so much of resonance inside the Hindu community even today. Excuse me. So the third chapter, the Karma Yoga, tells that Devan Bhavantyena Te Deva Bhavantyantuvaha, means that when you do the selfless sacrifice, do the continuous contribution, then the Devas themselves will nourish you.
Wow. It's such a beautiful statement, Maharaj.
Yes. And then in the third chapter, he goes on telling more about how he himself, that Param Brahma, is there inside the contribution. In the act of the sacrifice, in the act of giving, in the dana, in the act of creating the wealth, in the act of giving the wealth, and in the act of the wealth being enriched and going around. He's saying that the work is born of the Creator, and he is born of the Supreme, and the all-pervading Supreme, the consciousness, the Supreme Consciousness, is eternally situated in the sacrifice of enriching. There is no concept of charity to give an illusion of currency. It is all about the work of keeping currency current. Yes. That is what the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism says. And Hindus have shown this by example, by being continuously keeping currency current in every country they go to. It's a contribution by them to keep the value of that money, the value of money in that country alive, going and keep on going.
That's what we see. The statistics themselves reveal this truth. Highest income is observed in the Hindu community itself, in the United States as well. I think $120,000 a year. That is the $120,000 a year. Yeah. The highest income group is basically among all the ethnic communities is Hindus. Highest educated again is Hindus. The least crime rate, least violence is again the Hindus. So much of statistics, numbers speak for themselves, right? We're not talking in air. All these things, all this data is out there. And Hindu civilization leaves its footprints of all these gifts and all these values. They leave their footprint, and it's all there for people to see.
Yes, and I even remember that when it came to this, it's very interesting actually, the statistic that is 120,000, 120K. That is the standard that all the Hindus in America are able to maintain. Actually, I remember in some of the conversations when I was a child having, there was some of the friends that would come and share about how the wealth should be, how the person should go for their next job, how they should get the promotion, what amount of money they should ask for in their next job, in the next promotion. And even when our parents are getting ready to and get the next job, the standard they even kept is 120K. It is the number. It just reminded me that hey, that was the number that was told to my parents, that hey, this is the number you need to strive for. So that way that the whole close-knit community keeps that standard even among themselves. Even the way that even the education is there. Just say you have to go to the highest education that is here, and they take on the standards there. And of course, the whole narrative of how education can be given is a very important thing. And as the education is one of the biggest things that the Hindus in all over the world, they hold a higher standard in that. And they're able to, because of that education, be able to be, again, more contributing to the latest trends, to be able to be extremely modernized because of that education, and be able to give so much back because they know what people need. They know where people are current and how to keep that current.
Even 1%, the Hindus make up 1% of the US population, but 8% of the founders of startups. That shows the drive to create, the drive to build stuff, right?
Yes.
And be educated and learn the skills and whatever knowledge is required to create more and more and contribute more and more to the society. And then also the third point, which you said earlier, having the confidence and to ask for the contribution back so that you can continue to contribute.
Yes.
That's where the whole 20K number comes, right?
Yes.
When you're confident that I am going to contribute, I'm going to contribute more, and I want to contribute more. So I need these resources for it.
Yes.
It will just come. It will just happen.
Yes.
That is the confidence we are talking about. And this is fundamentally rooted in the values of the belief system, the core cognition of the Hindus that the Hindus have been carrying. Sometimes they even don't know about it. Even Hindus don't really realize sometimes that all these values from where they have come, right? From it is all the core cognition of the Hindu civilization, from the knowledge. It's ingrained in their very DNA itself many times. So it is even the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, and the responsibility that he's taking is to even give the Hindus, the practicing Hindus in the young generation, the realization, the knowledge of the blessing that they are born as a Hindu, and making them understand that their Hindu identity has a utility value. It has the greatest utility value, and to cherish it, to celebrate it, and enrich more and more people with the values, with all the contributions of the Hindu civilization that it has made and it potentially can make. Even when it comes to AI and all the modern technology, even the Supreme Court of Hinduism has mentioned that Hindus have the power and the potential to even contribute to the whole AI revolution. The whole world is filled with the whole fear and paranoia. It's going to take our jobs. But what is the Supreme Court of Hinduism telling? Hindus have an opportunity to contribute here as well.
Yes.
There is nothing to fear.
Yes.
It's a breakthrough, in fact.
Yes.
The best news.
Yes, and it is thinking about the future exactly. When we were also discussing how the many countries, many successful companies that in fact are led by Hindus nowadays, they are actually investing so much of wealth inside AI because, and many projections show that AI is going to be the future, and it is something that you want to put your wealth in because it is going to do so much of contribution back. Yes. So that is literally future planning, long-term planning, and that is a Hindu way of thinking. And the Supreme Pontiff is telling that AI is the future, and he is telling us that it is something that we need to immediately start working with immediately, and it is gonna give us also the possibility of giving everyone a super conscious breakthrough, bringing Hinduism at its core to everyone, and that is what AI can really help us do. And just thinking in the long term, it can really help. And I just wanted to take a few minutes as we close down for today's presentation, today's show. Just a few minutes just to tell everyone and invite everyone to tell about Kailasa's upcoming festivals. It's the festival season. Nithyananda is happening, and currently right now in all of the Kailasas, the Agni Nakshatram, it is the peak summer, and I think many countries in the world are facing the heat wave that is going on in the world. And the heat wave, actually, the remedy for it, Paramashiva gives beautifully in the Agamas, is keeping the Dharapatram, the cooling pot above the Paramashiva Linga, whose very body is connected to the whole ecology. And when his body is cooled, the whole ecology is cooled. And that is a celebration that is going on right now in all of the Paramashiva Devalayas and Nithyaneshwara Devalayas all over the world. And at the end of this 28-day peak summer heat, there is a festival of a grand Abhishekam that is offered to Paramashiva in the form of the Nishkala, Sakala, the Paramashiva in the form of the Shiva Linga. And that ritual is there. There is going to be a celebration coming on the 28th of May. And then after that, of course, we have Nithyananda Purnima, the very day that the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism had the enlightenment experience. That is coming on June 4th. That's the next full moon. Of course, the whole Hindu calendar goes with the full moon axing and the waning of the moon and the position of the stars and the nakshatra and the sun and the moon in everywhere. So that's the next festival. And after that, we're having festivals of the Guru Purnima. And then, of course, that second half of the year starts. That is the Dakshinayana that has so many, that is just every other day you will be having a festival or the other. And of course, there's another festival happening just this the Nithyananda Purnima that is coming up, the very celebration of the Guru Jnana Sambandar. He's one of our founding the people who founded the whole, revived the whole tradition after Meenakshi Sundareshwara. Tirujnana Sambandar revived the whole Hindu tradition and gave it a beautiful next level breakthrough. He's literally the manifestation of Paramashiva. So celebrating Tirujnana Sambandar, the one who established who revived the Kailasona, the Shyamala Pita. And that's the celebration happening around the next full moon. And even at that time, it is the time when the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, at the age of 16, was given the Yogabhattabhishekam. And that celebration also we do. The Yogabhattabhishekam is a celebration of a graduation of a person who has mastered Vedanta, mastered all the basic philosophies of Hinduism. So that is a celebration. So these are all coming up. I just wanted to give an open invitation.
You know what I'm thinking, Maharaj?
Yes.
I'm just thinking, no chance of any economic collapse for Hindu community.
No way. It is going to be there forever. And these festivals are going to keep on coming. The calendar keeps going. The celebration continues.
The celebration continues, the economy continues to thrive, right? Expand more and more. That is the whole fundamentals of Hindu economy, and let alone mentioning spiritual benefits, the ultimate, what the benefits that we get from attending and witnessing these rituals, right? The kind of breakthrough that we experience in our personal life. So it spans across various dimensions, all these rituals and everything, and how they give us the benefit at the mundane level all the way up to enlightenment itself. That is the significance of the Hindu rituals. And thank you so much, Maharaj, for sharing the upcoming festival that we have, that people have an opportunity to enrich themselves with.
Yes.
Right? And also we would take one more opportunity. If you want to experience this personal breakthrough in your own life and even make others also manifest this breakthrough, please scan the QR code for Mahaparamashivam program and sign up. Fill the Mahaparamashivam program, the QR code which is being projected at the bottom of your screen, and sign up for the Mahaparamashivoham, which is going to start on May 15th. And just be a part of this celebration. It's a new life, a new awakening, a new beginning that is waiting for you.
Yes, Maharaj. So we can continue tomorrow. We invite you again tomorrow at every day 7 p.m. We will be having this discussion, and tomorrow join us again for all the latest topics about the current events.
And even let us know what if any topics you want us to discuss, whatever you see around, what you want us to bring the cognition of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, how he looks at the whole situation, what all the solutions that he would provide, because ultimately we're talking from his perspective, what he said. It is all his words, right?
Correct.
His cognition.
And he's reviving Hinduism. We want to know how Hinduism is giving answers to anything in the world, any problem you're facing in the world. What does Hinduism talk about? Marriage. What does Hinduism talk about? Relationships. What does Hinduism talk about? Gaining wealth, as we are discussing today. All of these are the whole part of the revival of Hinduism. That is a big part of how the Supreme Pontiff is leading all of us through Kailas.
Yes, exactly. So we would invite you to share your opinions, your ideas, your questions, anything from your side. We would love to respond. We would love to get your feedback and improve on whatever your feedback is. And please share your opinions in the comments section. Don't forget. And also don't forget to press the bell icon as well if you want to continue to receive the notification, and like and share with as many people as possible, so that this message of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism can reach to as many people as possible. So with this, we are now moving to the next segment, right? The most awaited segment of the Nithyananda Satsang, the direct revelation from the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Bhagavan Nithyananda Paramashivam, having his darshan and listening to him and witnessing the ultimate space of Paramadvaita, and experiencing, benefiting from all the gifts that he shares with us from Mahakailasa. So let's prepare ourselves to receive the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism. Keep your head, neck, and spine in the straight line, with the body completely relaxed, unclutched from all the thoughts, all the mental processes, with a deep space of restful awareness, devotion, gratitude in your Ananda Gandha, which is the space between your navel center and the heart center. Visualize Paramashiva in the bright golden light with 25 heads, 50 hands, and 75 eyes in your third eye. And chant the Mahavakya, Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham, in your inner space, reverberating in your entire body, your entire being. So let's chant the Mahavakya and get ready to receive the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Bhagavan Nithyananda Paramashivam. Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham. Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham. Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham.
Om Nithyanandeshwara Paramashiva Samarambam Nithyanandeshwari Parashakti Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. I welcome you all with my love and respects. I welcome all the living and practicing Hindus from all over the world. I welcome all the Sarvanyapita Kartas, Yajamans, Manifestors, Sarvaparityagis, Shrimahans, Mahans, Kotari, Tanidar, visitors, viewers, Kayakalpa Yoga participants, Kailasas, ministers, ambassadors, diplomats, consulate generals, and citizens and supporters. Paramashiva Ganas, Paramashivoham, Season 10 participants. I welcome all of you with my love and respects. First, let's worship Ganapati on this Ganesha Chaturthi Brahmotsavam, then enter into the satsang.
Nithyanandam, on the auspicious 6th day of the Ganesha Chaturthi Brahmotsavam, today, Sri Mahaganapati Ananda Ganesha is gracing in Sarvalankara with 8 hands and 8 ayudhas, seated upon the Swarna Gajavahanam, having done the Gajamukhasura Vadha on this auspicious day of 6th day of Ganesha Chaturthi Brahmotsavam. We now offer our worship at the feet of Sri Mahaganapati Ananda Ganesha and Jagadguru Mahasanidhanam, His Divine Holiness Swamiji. Suvarna Danda Mandita Prachanda Charu Chamaram Griha Preeti Sundaram Yugakshanam Pramoditam Kavindra Chittaranjakam Mahavipatti Bhanjakam Shadaksharaswarupinam Bhujanga Deva Rupinam. Om Dhurati Dhurvadhurvantam Dhurvatyo Osman Dhurvatitam Dhurvayam Vayam Dhurvamatvam Devanamatisastitamam Papritamam Jushtatamam Vanhitamam Devahootamam Ahritamasi Havirdhanandrigam Bhasvamahva Armitrasyatva Chakhusha Prekshema Bherma Samvikha Matvahikam Shisham. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Om Shri Mahaganapate Namaha Ananda Ganeshaya Namaha Dhupamagrapayami. Om Uddipyakvajata Vedo Pagnan Nirritim Mama Pashukishtamahyamalah Jivanan Chadisho Disha Manohikam Si Jata Vedo Kamashvam Purushan Jagate Abhibhradagna Agahi Shriyama Paripataya. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Om Shri Mahaganapate Namaha Ananda Ganeshaya Namaha. Ekaharati Deepam Sandarshayami. Om मधुवातारतायते मधुक्षरन्ति सिन्धवः माध्वीर्नः सन्तोषधीः मधुनक्तमुतोषसि मधुमत्पार्थिवगं रजः मधुद्यौरस्तु नः पिता मधुमान्नो वनस्पतिर्मधुमाग्निम् अस्तु सूर्यः माध्वीर्गावो भवन्तु नः मधु 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 ॐ गं गणपते नमः ॐ श्री महागणपते नमः आनन्दगणेशाय नमः नानाविधानि नैवेद्यानि निवेदयामि ॐ सर्वस्याप्त्यै सर्वस्य जित्यै सर्वमेव तेनाप्नोति सर्वं जयति ॐ एकदन्ताय विद्महे वक्रतुण्डाय धीमहि तन्नो दन्तिः प्रचोदयात् ॐ तत्पुरुषाय विद्महे वक्रतुण्डाय धीमहि तन्नो दन्तिः प्रचोदयात् ॐ गं गणपतये नमः ॐ श्री महागणपते नमः आनन्दगणेशाय नमः सर्वदेवदेवी स्वरूपाय भगवते श्री नित्यानंद परमशिवाय नमः सर्वोपचार पूजार्थे सर्वापराधक्षमापनार्थे समस्तमङ्गलप्राप्त्यर्थे आनन्दकर्पूरनीराजनं सन्दर्शयामि गजाननं भूतगणाधिसेवितं कपित्थजम्बूफलसारभक्षितम् उमासुतं शोकविनाशकारणं नमामि विघ्नेश्वरपादपङ्कजम्
Paramashiva's message directly from Kailasa. Jivan Mukti, living enlightenment, is establishing your confidence and declaring your conscious integrity and manifesting your conscious intention, Satya Sankalpa, on cosmic principles. I'll repeat. Living enlightenment, Jivan Mukti, is establishing your confidence, declaring your conscious integrity, manifesting your conscious will, Satya Sankalpa, on the cosmic principles. I wanted to bring this one truth to all your attention. In Hindu tradition, knowledge is sacred. We never try to suppress, oppress, dampen the authority of the knowledge using the concept of sacred. The concept of sacred is used only to strengthen your intensity of seeking, your intention to gain more and more knowledge. Atato Brahma Jignasat. Let us inquire into the ultimate reality existence. Knowledge is sacred. Vidya is divya. We never used the principle called sacred to suppress, oppress exploration of knowledge. That is the beauty of the Vedic tradition. That is why we are so open for upgrading, amending, evolving ourselves. It's a living civilization. It was, it is, it will be. Sa vidya ya vimuktaye. That is why Vidya is given the form of woman in Hindu tradition, because the woman of the house, her decisions, her will persistence makes the whole family flow in the direction of enlightenment. I tell you, I have seen how silently, passively, non-aggressive way, with tremendous will, persistence and patience, my own mother led the whole family towards the direction of enlightenment, just because she is from that heritage. I don't think she even consciously planned. Just because she inherited the heritage, by keeping that heritage alive very passively. I tell you, I have never seen my mother shouting or fighting, screaming with my grandmother, means her mother-in-law, or my father, her husband, or anybody in the family. Please understand. I won't say she did not have difficulties of middle class or lower middle class Hindu family in Indian village. She had all the difficulty, but she always kept the whole thing together, drove the whole thing in the direction of Jivan Mukti, just because this is what she learned from the elders, the ecosystems inspiration. See, till you are 25, ecosystem will inspire you. After you cross 25, you should become the strength for the ecosystem. That is the life. You can't go on expect that ecosystem should treat you cutely and that should support you and be a strength for you. No. Initially, it's okay. First 25 years. And in the modern day, I'll tell you, you are far more mentally, psychologically, informatively matured than Hindu village kid. So you don't need 25 years. I think by the time you are 18, or I'll say even the modern day 16, you claim so much of freedom and power and authority due to the society structure, but you don't take the responsibility. I want to tell you, all Hindu kids claiming too much of freedom and throwing tantrum without taking the responsibility, you are destroying Hinduism and living enlightenment tradition. By 16 to 18, all Hindu kids should start supporting the ecosystem of enlightenment. You can't be any more just sucking the ecosystem, be the load on the ecosystem through all your tantrums and expecting you to be treated very cute. No. The moment you cross 18, you should become ferocious with yourself and learn to be the support for the ecosystem. I tell you, dharmo rakshati rakshitaha. When you support dharma, dharma supports you. When you protect dharma, dharma protects you. I'll tell you this principle which I am talking now is the economic policy, strategy, principle of Hinduism. Listen. The Hindu society, civilization, is focused on Jivan Mukti, enlightenment, moksha. Whether it follows the Shaiva tradition, Ganapatya tradition, or Sakta tradition, or Saura tradition, or Gaumara tradition, or Guru worship, Sampradayas, or Vaishnava Sampradayas, any Sampradaya. Basically, the ecosystem, a civilization, Samastana, is focused on enlightenment. And people who keep this knowledge of enlightenment and teach, they are paid. Sponsored, multi-level, paid regularly and sponsored for specific events and supported through grants and donations. And the people who maintain the social integrity by providing protection from the external destructive forces, invading forces, or internally revolting forces. Kshatriyas, they are paid and given awards and rewards. Listen, step by step, I am explaining. The knowledge keepers who keep the integrity and efficacy of the knowledge, Brahmanas, who give protection from external invasions and internal revolts and keep the living enlightenment, Jivan Mukti lifestyle. Kshatriyas, those people are given, they are paid and given rewards and awards when they demonstrate the valor, protecting the dharma. And same next, Vaishyas, they are supported, encouraged, given protection, supported with the knowledge, encouraged with the infrastructure and market. Protected, given protection for their wealth, for all these services provided by the state to the Vaishyas. In turn, Vaishyas pay the tax to the state. And Shudras are empowered with the land and all the equipments needed to grow grains or everything else needed for the sustenance of the life, in turn paid, supported with all their needs. It's an amazing, unique, very organized, legitimate civilization. I tell you, the pre-Brancian age civilization, the only civilization still alive, of course, in a very critical stage, beaten, broken, lost even confidence on themselves and their principles, their ancestors, constantly being told that your ancestors are stupid and your ancestors are useless. See, once you take someone's confidence about their heritage and past, he does not have any more future, because he will not try to replicate his knowledge, heritage, past, the glory of the past in future. He will just surrender to you and listen to you and do what you say as the right future. To enslave a civilization and kill a civilization, remove their confidence about their glorious past. Successfully, this poisoning is done to Hindu civilization. It is almost in intensive care unit, emergency care unit. The only good news is it is not dead. I am back to revive. I will not let it die. Chaturvarnyam maya srishtam gunakarma vibasaha tasyakartaram abhimam vidyakartaram avyayam. The four categories of Varna were created by me according to the people's qualities and activities. Although I am creator of this system, know me to be eternal and will come back again and again to keep this system alive. The only civilization still alive, not dead, from pre-Brancian age is Hindu civilization, Varnashrama Dharma. And I'll be back again and again and again to keep this alive, giving confidence to people on this system is Hindu economic principle. For example, if a Brahmin does Agnihotra every day, teaches Vedas to the kids, not only he is given a regular salary by the king, all the punya he acquires, the merit he acquires by these sacred actions, not only he gets the Kailasa after death, he can encash his punya even as a usable currency like grains, gems, other items needed to run his life during the Ashwamedha Yajna, Putrakameshti Yajna, other major yajnas, yahas, rituals done by the king. Please understand. All the major yajnas done by the great kings in their kingdoms are dispersing the punya currency in Buloka, this world day-to-day usage currencies. Please understand this principle. This principle is going to be very important principle in Kailasa economy. I am going to revive this. If you serve any temple run as per Vedagamas, you get punya which you can use not only in Kailasa after you leave the body, you can encash them, withdraw as currency even for your day-to-day use, which can be in the form of grains, precious gems, precious metals. I mean what I am saying. This is the fundamental policy with which the Kailasa economic strategy and economic policies are getting evolved. Listen. Bringing legitimacy, economic legitimacy to all the religious actions, activities you perform. If you go around Arunachala, the Arunachala Purana describes you will get certain punya with which you can achieve and enjoy Kailasa. Not only you get that, you get even the country currency. You withdraw, you receive currency in the form of grains, clothes, other utilities, including precious metal, precious gems. The ritual happening where all this disbursement happens is yaga, yajnas conducted by the kings in those days. For example, when a Brahmin comes, the senior Vidvats, the senior Brahmins decide this person, this many years, is practicing all the Vedic rituals and teaching. So he gets this much of punya in Kailasa and this much of country currency. The Kailasa currency punya and country currency in the form of grains, precious metal, precious gems, clothes, whatever. This was a living economy of Hindu tradition and Hindu samsthanas, Hindu kingdoms. I am going to revive it. I will revive it with the grace of Ganapati, Paramashiva. All the gods and goddesses of Kailasa with their blessings. I will revive it. Same way, these principles are elaborately described in Vedas and Agamas. That is going to form the basic structure of Kailasa economic policies and strategies. Everyone is supported so beautifully, nobody feels insecure to manipulate or exploit the economy. That is the most beautiful structure of Hindu economy. Understand, it is such tremendous, deep confidence building system, and so much of security was given. I tell you, I was studying thoroughly. Let me openly declare, all my last 26 years of life, after the Yoga Pattabhishekam, 1994, my gurus have put me on the throne by doing the Yoga Pattabhishekam. They put me on the seat. From that time, all my attempts, whatever I tried to do in Ramakrishna Mission as volunteer, brahmachari, sannyasi, I was volunteer brahmachari. Or after I started this Sangha, all my economic policies were trying to revive these principles of Hinduism. How we can give confidence to people on living enlightenment system, and how that can become not only the cosmic currency, even country currency. I was trying various trial and error methods, but I tell you, very confidently, with the grace of Paramashiva, I am successful in coming to a very balanced, clear policies and principles which will intensely give confidence and secured feeling to people, so they will be part of this whole dharmo rakshati rakshitaha, protecting dharma and letting dharma protect us, empowering, protecting dharma so powerfully, so that becomes a living energy to protect us. I received this knowledge of Hindu economic policies and principles directly from the blessings of my Guru Arunagiri Yogeshwara, directly from him, and then learnt the history, how it used to be a living reality from 230th Guru Maha Sannidhanam of Tondemandala Adinam, Sri Jnanapragasa Desika Paramacharya Swami. I wanted to put this on record. Forever he should be remembered as reviver of Hindu economic policies and principles. He taught me, he used to teach me how those days the samsthanas received tax and how they distributed salaries, gifts, awards, rewards. For example, Brahmana, when he performs something great, when he is high achiever, he is supported, gifted with all the things which strengthens his lifestyle. Same way, for example, a Kshatriya, when he performs something great and when he becomes high achiever, he is gifted with some things which strengthens his valor and his lifestyle and what is expected from him. For a successful society, he gets glory, name, fame, and many women decide to marry him. He is glorified in such a way, the society is enamored by his glory and valor. Same way Vaishya, when he becomes a great, successful high achiever, the kind of the glorification done to him is different. The glorification done to him supports him in his profession to achieve more success. A great, amazing, beautiful society was kept alive with the principle of enlightenment. I want to tell and thank all the people who contributing to this Kailasa by giving your time or treasure or talent. You are doing something absolutely good to yourself and to the world by supporting this huge cause. Understand? It is with extreme integrity, sincerity, a great possibility for human society is tested, tried, actually succeeded, and getting revived. Trial run is successful. I am not reformer, I am reviver. And in Hindu tradition, the two layer, the economic principle, one is the currency. Technically in Sanskrit, if I translate that concept, it's called grain-based currency, means just by possessing and owning, it has its own utility value, whether the grains or the precious metals, precious gems, by its own value, it has a value. There is no other regulatory body required to establish its value. By you owning and the way it is used, demanded in the society, healthy society, by this simple existence, it has value. Second, the regulatory body always made sure the principle of enlightenment was kept alive in all their regulatory principles. How and why gold should be precious metal? How and why? What gems will be considered as precious? Everything. The whole regulating mechanism was enlightenment centric. Understand? Rajaraja, for example, builds a huge temples. All of you need to know, it's not that he built only Tanjore temple. Please understand. He built large number of temples. Krishnadevaraya built large number of temples. I should say that all great known kings of Hinduism, whether Cambodia or Somanath or Chidambaram or Tanjore or Jagannath or Nepal or Sri Lanka anywhere the Hindu civilization was prevalent, it was all temple-centric, temple-based, because that was the source of our knowledge, our economy, principles, systems and strategies. Temple building and sustenance was one of the most beautiful method to keep the economy current. Currency has value only as long as the current is kept alive. So the current is kept alive to keep the value of the currency through this large size temple building and running. I tell you, the concept of common debt is the story of Venkateshwara borrowing money from Kubera for his marriage and still repaying. It's a most beautiful story. If you understand that story, you will understand this concept of common debt. How beautifully, dharmically, the modern day concept of common debt is expressed in the story of Venkateshwara borrowing money from Kubera for his marriage and still repaying the loan. The glory of the temple, of the capital of Hindu kingdoms, was actually the way they attracted the citizens from all over the world and the way they kept their citizens motivated, inspired, integrated to the kingdom. Amazing spiritual enlightenment-based nationalism, enlightenment-based patriotism, enlightenment-based economy. The enlightenment-based nationalism and enlightenment-based patriotism, enlightenment-based economy, enlightenment-based integrity, understand? Even when you have a mood swings, confusions about your individual lifestyle and your individual balance sheet is not giving you confidence about life, but your understanding about the common goal, the concept of civilization, if that is alive, you will not become a traitor. You will continue to be integrated and raise, and you will realize and fit yourself, discovering yourself and how you fit yourself into the society, both. Understand? The every word I am uttering is the most beautiful principles of Hindu economic policies. See, these are the principles on which Hindu education happened and Hindu policy making happened. Hindu politics is run. Hindu administration is done. Hindu judiciary functioned. Hindu economic principles, strategies were evolved and kept alive. Hindu currency was kept current. The current of the Hindu currency was kept alive through this mechanism. This mechanism used to be stirring to keep the Hindu currency current. How in the modern day the governments do. Like, for example, this post-corona, how every government is trying to revive their economy through various plans, projects, policies, grants. So every year, the Hindu kingdoms used to conduct the rituals, festivals to trigger the economy, to revive the economy, to keep the currency current. Sometimes people are made to support the common pool. Sometimes the pool is taken out and shared with people. But it was all done in a very dharmic way to keep the signs of living enlightenment. Whether you are taxed or given grants, everything was based on enlightenment, Jivan Mukti, moksha based artha, moksha centric artha. Moksha is kept as the first priority in artha or dharma or kama. Just because we had few failures in few wars and lost the land due to traitors does not mean our civilization principles are wrong. If you think just because we lost few wars and land due to traitors, the principles are wrong, you are a fool. Like how some of the fools are still believing, just if you are involved in voting alone during the election period once in 5 years, you can maintain Hindu civilization. No. A constant involvement and activism is required to keep the Hindu civilization alive and to revive the Hindu civilization. Unfortunately, even modern day Hindus strongly believe if you make the right decision on the voting day and vote, then it is all done. No. It is wrong. Everyday activism, involvement into the society is required to revive Hindu civilization and Hindu principles. I don't know when Hindus are going to wake up to this truth, but I will keep these truths alive at least in one corner of the world in the form of Kailasa. Kailasa is seed bank of Hinduism. Just like how Manu built a ship and kept all the best seeds alive to revive post-deluge, post-pralaya. Same way, I am building Kailasa and keeping all the seeds, the best things of Hinduism alive to revive the post pralaya. Sambhavami yuke yuke. I will come again and do this work. I have come for this work and I will perform it. I will achieve it. To tell you honestly, I have done it. I just have to do further expansion. From year 1 AD to year 1700, Bharat contributed to about 30% of the known world's GDP. For 1700 years, the recorded history, I am talking only from recorded history. If you go prehistory, India only, Bharat only had GDP. The concept of GDP did not exist in any other part of the world. The known world. The known organized civilization was Hindu civilization, most ancient and most continuous. Unfortunately, now even Hindus have started believing Hinduism is functional only for religious and enlightenment purposes. It is dysfunctional for politics or economic or social system or judiciary. Even Hindus are brainwashed. I tell you, oh Hindus, please wake up to the truth. We were, we are, we will be a functional system, legitimate functional system. Not just spiritually, religiously, even economically, judiciary, socially, politically, in every level, without compromising, altering, adulterating. You don't need reformers, you need revivers. Hindus, wake up. Our ancestors are intelligent enough. They were intelligent enough to evolve a system. We don't need reformers, we need revivers. I want this to be today's message. All Kailasians, spread to the whole world. Hindus need to be educated, told, blow the conch, Shankanatha. We need revivers, not reformers. Enough reformers have harmed Hinduism as much as anti-Hindus. We need revivers, not reformers. We need revivers, not reformers. We need revivers, not reformers. Reformers are as dangerous and as destructive, as negative to Hinduism as anti-Hindu elements, anti-Hindus, invaders. Reformers were just disguised invaders. Reformers are the traitors used by invaders to destroy Hinduism. So Hinduism needs revivers, not reformers. We are strong enough, powerful enough principally. The principles, Principal, principles, Principles. The principles of Hinduism only need to be revived, does not need to be reformed. do the Jayagosha, Sankanada, Tirukkailaya Vadya, and tell the world Hinduism needs revivers, not reformers. The concept of dravya, dana, dravya, in Hinduism is clearly defined in Amarakosha. For Brahmanas, what is dana? Wealth. For Vaishyas, what is dana? Wealth. For Kshatriyas, what is dana? Wealth. For Shudras, what is dana? Wealth. Amarakosha's original verse. Dravyam viddam swapateyam ruktam ruktam danam vasuhu hiranyam dravinam dyumnam artaraihi vipava abhi. These are the definitions, forms the fundamental economic principles of Kailasa. Synonyms of the word dana: dravyam, material; vittam, currency, goods, which is goods battered also is considered as currency. As I said, the Hindu economy was grain-based. By its own weight and possession, it is valuable. It does not need any central regulatory body to declare that this paper has this much of value. No. By just the possession of that semi-precious stone or a precious metal or precious stone or the current or the grain, or the grain or the precious metal, precious gems, by its possession, it brings value due to its utility and demand in the society. So that is vittam. Swapateyam, owned, earned property. Riktam, inherited property. When you inherit a property, the intention of your ancestor tied, married to that property, that intention also you inherit. So, all inheritance in Hinduism is a will. So, you have to, as long as you maintain that will, you have right over the property. Understand? Whatever you inherit from the ancestors, you have to maintain their will. If not, you don't own that property anymore. This was the way the civilization was kept alive in Hindu tradition. Hindu father will work for the 7th generation of their children, and same way they will inculcate the lifestyle, knowledge, principles in their children. Unfortunately, now in the modern day, neither they keep wealth for the children nor they inculcate the Hindu values for the children. Both should be done. I want my followers, you keep wealth for your next generation and you inculcate these values, Hindu values, into your next generation. And the next generation also respects the riktam, inherited property, and the will of your ancestors, both. Ruktam, possessing and enjoying it, expanding it. Dhanam, money. Vasu, land. Hiranyam, gold. Dravinam, movable properties, which is useful. Dyumnam, power and strength. Power and strength means capacity to understand the principles of the economy and change the investments and keep yourself alive, current, and your currency current. Artha, the business concerns and work. Rai, riches. You should pronounce as Rai, riches. Vibhava, magnanimity, omnipresence and power. Understanding the omnipresence and capabilities of Dhanam and keeping your magnanimity to keep the omnipresence alive all over the world. For example, if you honor your commitments only, they will honor their commitments. That is what is magnanimity. So, Kavi Kalpa Druma gives the synonym of Dhanam as Dhanyam, means the grain-based economy and all other principles as I described from Amarakosha now. These are going to be forming the fundamental principles for Hindu economic policies and strategies. Hindu will is absolutely different from the will legal paper used today for establishing inheritance. Understand? Hindu will is lifestyle based. If you are from the Varna of a Brahmana and you inherit your ancestors who were Brahmana by Varna, only if you follow the principles of Brahmana Varna, you have the right over that property. Same way, Kshatriya, Shudra, and Vaishya. The Hindu inheritance principles. Actually, I tell you, it is so juicy and delicious even to understand the Arthasastra and Hindu economic principles. Wow! What a brilliant ancestors we had. Tadanti bhumi dhanyam utpadayati. Dhana is the earth that bears the fruits and seeds and that produces grains. These are definitions of Dhanam Dhanyam in Hindu tradition. Actually, if at all our next generation starts tasting the Hindu knowledge, Hindu economy principles, they will understand this is the most beautiful, delicious, brilliant. They will just fall in love with all these principles and simply the whole Hindu economy principles, everything will be revived. My job is only to make you taste the deliciousness of Hindu economy principles by reviving the Hindu Reserve Bank and Hindu currency. Hindu knowledge is capable enough to revive itself, resurrect itself, re-establish itself, reignite the passion in you and excite you again. And just if I share the knowledge and educate you, that's enough. That's all I'm trying to do. I have so much more to share. So with this, I bless you all. Let's all radiate with integrity, authenticity, responsibility, enriching, causing, living Shuddhatvaita Saivam, the state, space, powers, being, superconsciousness, and Kailas of Paramashiva. Paramashivoham. Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham. The eternal bliss, Nithyananda. Thank you. Be blissful.